Hi, my name is Lewis Webster, and in my final project, I will be making the assertion that Donald Trump is bad for business in the United States and therefore shouldn't be reelected in 2020. The reasoning behind my claim is based on Donald Trump's stance towards climate change, as climate change will impact our economy in various ways, and I'll get into that, as well as our current economic system and who exactly is pulling the strings and what that means for the American people. So with that being said, I will now get into the evidence that I have for this reasoning, and I will hopefully supply the burden of proof. Beginning with climate change, I would like to start off with a quote from the fourth National Climate Assessment. They published in 2018 a warning that if we do not curb greenhouse gas emissions and start to adapt, climate change could seriously disrupt the U.S. economy. Warmer temperatures, sea level rise, and extreme weather will damage property and critical infrastructure, impact human health and productivity, and negatively affect sectors such as agriculture, forestry, fisheries, and tourism. The demand for energy will increase as power generation becomes less reliable and water supplies will be stressed. Damage to other countries around the globe will also affect U.S. business through disruption in trade and supply chains. So that's basically how climate change can potentially impact an economy. But how so? Why is it that it has those particular effects on an economy? Well, when we look at glacial melt, the reasoning for the sea level increase, we find some pretty disturbing things. The Potsdam Institute of Climate Impact Research found for every 1 degree of temperature increase, we can expect about a 4.2 foot increase in sea level rise. This could add up to about 10 feet at the end of the century, jeopardizing 80 of the 100 largest cities in the world. Now, in terms of productivity going down across the world could lower trade and hurt economies. Well, if people are uprooted from their homes and uprooted from their cities, this will lower productivity dramatically and inevitably hurt an economy. Not only that, but NASA's GRACE project has been running tests on Greenland's glaciers, and they found that the glaciers have retreated 5 miles. They've been releasing 281 gigatons of water into the ocean every year. That's 281 billion tons. And furthermore, the amount of water lost could supply Los Angeles with a sufficient water supply for 2,000 years. This is a lot of water. And we have left our fingerprints on the problem. Our pollution has resulted in soot in the air, and this soot is landing on Greenland's ice caps, landing on Antarctica's ice caps, further reducing its reflective ability, heating up the ice more, melting more water into the oceans, as well as when that ice melts, it releases carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, making the globe even hotter, resulting in more arid and dry lands, which results in more forest fires, as we saw in California and Australia. These forest fires produce more soot, which lands on the ice, further perpetuating the issue. It is cyclical, it is problematic, the studies have been replicated and confirmed. Now, I did some research on Dr. Dahlman, an ecology professor from Boston University, and she found that in India, climate change is already forcing people to move their homes. As of 2005, very long ago, already 8% of climate migrants, 8% of migrants in India were forced to leave their homes due to climate change, due to a degradation in soil quality. Now, this degradation in soil quality is going to disrupt our agricultural business and agricultural businesses across the globe. There will be less access to food, less access to water. It's not going to be a place where we want to live. And no one would want to live in a scenario such as this. And we've gone through our class on ethics. And if we want to produce the most well-being among society and maximize utility, then we can't we can't line our pockets with money now at the expense of future generations. It is against our ethical duty to our human beings that will follow us. Not only that, but humanity's ethical duty to me has been a question throughout our course, and I've pondered on it a lot. And I see it as that for every breath of oxygen we take in, we give out carbon dioxide, which the trees then take in, making more oxygen for every living thing to breathe in. We are here ultimately to contribute to the equilibrium and balance of this planet, to further prosper all life. We are essential to prosper all life. But we have not done so. We have disrupted the balance and equilibrium of our planet and therefore haven't fulfilled our purpose of being in our ethical duty as human beings. And Donald Trump has particularly exhibited this by pulling us out of the Paris Climate Accord as well as expanding fossil fuel industries. Now, why Donald Trump is doing this is, to me, quite simple. It's the same reason we have 150 climate deniers in the 116th Congress, according to the American Action and Progress Fund. According to Forbes magazine, the fossil fuel companies make unfathomable amounts of money. They raked in $115 billion last year. 68 million of their dollars went to the campaign contributions of those 150 men in Congress. Now, we have bribery in our political system, and I believe this is our segue into why our current economic system is already not working for the American people due to this bribery by the rich that are pulling the strings behind the curtain. Now, we cannot have the rich and powerful bribing our public officials, the ones who are in charge of our policy and our governance, our culture. That is quite the task and quite the trust we've put in them. For them to take money from any corporation, to me, shows that they are going to help that corporation, that corporation is looking for a little gift to go along with their present to that politician. That is why the pharmaceutical company gives so much money to politicians, and that's why we now have an opioid crisis in our country, because money in politics is dangerous, and it is resulting in the death of our planet. These are not stupid men. These are highly educated men in Congress. They're actively picking party and their own re-election over policy and the well-being of our planet. Now, these rich and powerful pulling the strings, they've made it possible for them to make a lot more money. The top 1% of our country over the past 30 years, according to the Federal Reserve, has seen a $21 trillion increase in wealth. Yet, the bottom 50% of our nation has seen a $900 billion increase in wealth. If our GDP and our productivity has only gone up, why is it that only 50% of the nation has benefited from it? Why is it that our country's economy works for half of its people, a very specific demographic of people? Well, it's because the rich and powerful are pulling the strings to make sure the economic system is in their benefit. They have the advantage. Now, if we believe in the American dream, we shouldn't allow any economic advantage. As from the debates we watched from Professor Sandel, birth is quite the lottery. And to be born into a family that gives you an economic advantage, frankly, that is not the American dream. Everyone, no matter what family they're born into, should have equal opportunities. And obviously that is unrealistic, but that is what we should strive for if we seek to conduct ourselves as ethical human beings. With that being said, Donald Trump is not the man to do this. He is not. He has shown an unwillingness to do this, and he has only further added to the needs of the rich. Jeff Bezos is the richest man in the world, and he has billions upon billions upon billions of dollars, and his company doesn't pay a single tax. Your parents, whoever's watching this, you pay more in taxes than Amazon does. That, to me, doesn't make sense. And we've seen this throughout history. In 2008, when the housing market crashed, it was the American people who bailed out the bankers. That's greed got us in that situation in the first place. In order to save our planet, we need to get money out of politics, or else this is only going to continue to happen. Furthermore, in terms of the 2020 election, we need a president who will fulfill their duty as a human being to contribute to the balance of our great planet. There's a reason we call it Mother Nature. She gives us our air, she gives us our water, she gives us our food, she gives us our resources to build our shelters. And we just take and take and take on a mad scramble for power and wealth. It is time to rethink our purpose of being. It is time to rethink what our duty is as humans. And it is time to rethink Donald Trump as the President of the United States. Thank you. That is all. Let me know if you have any counter arguments. I'm always open to other arguments. I absolutely am not an expert. And I encourage you to fact check me and fact check everything I said. Professor Rule, thank you so much. This class will hold a special place in my heart forever and has changed my way of thinking in life forever. So thank you very much, and I hope you enjoyed my presentation. That'll be all.